All right, so now that we've gone through the overview, the process of cloning, we're creating a new position and worked through the basic candidate profile. Want to show you kind of an end-to-end workflow of what happens when a candidate applies and works through the pipeline process. We can show a few of the steps along the way and how you might work with the members in your branch to get somebody hired. So obviously this is a training example, but if we look, we have one person who's applied and click into there, and this is where we can review the resume. So assuming that I have the experience that we're looking for, I can go ahead and update my profile and move me along into the culture index stage. Now, we'll go over a brief kind of how to read a resume and screen for it, but assuming that when you come into here, into this position, if I am still in the applied stage, that means that I didn't get automatically disqualified based on the application questionnaire. So you can always view those questionnaires here, but for the sake of this example, we'll say that I made it through the application process and I passed the resume screen. So we can either from this menu change my stage to culture index sent, or can drag from left to right into that culture index stage. Now, what happens within that stage is this is automatically generated and sent to the email here on file. Now, there's two ways you can tell this is an email. First is because we are using the management or corporate pipeline. So you can tell pretty easily with the existence of the phone screen there. Or you can see this icon here that signifies email. And likewise, the small phone icon will indicate a text message being sent. So let's say we sent this out, the candidate got back to us and said, yep, I've completed it. So we can go to the culture index, search for that person. Typically, they're going to be in the top few, but as this was taken in October, we'll pull that up. We can save that. I save them all into a culture index on my desktop as a temporary holding spot. We'll pop back into the candidate profile, and then we'll attach that document to the file. Now, the follow-up piece on this is that for every single time we attach a culture index report PDF, we also want to include the profile type. In my case, I'm a philosopher, so I would come to the tag section and add culture index philosopher, and that will allow us to search and sort by those tags later on down the line. So let's say that the resume looks good for the position I've applied to, and the culture index is a profile that fits what we're looking for. We'll go ahead and move this candidate to the phone screen invite stage. Now, currently, all the phone screens are attached to my Calendly, but if you have a phone screen that you'd like to use on your branch, happy to set up a template for you. But what would happen is this is sent to this email here. I can click into that Calendly link and book myself a time. Now, what happens here is the candidate will input their information. And then because it's a phone screen, a phone number is required. And then I will input my information. And then that will not only send me, the candidate, a calendar invite and a confirmation text, but it will also pop that appointment directly onto my calendar as the interviewer here. So you can see I booked it for Monday the 13th, and that event is automatically generated to my calendar. So I know exactly when I need to call this candidate. And that's the beauty of the Calendly links. So let's say we get to next Monday, we conduct that phone interview, and I end up with a whole bunch of notes from that call. What we can do is copy and paste those notes, whether you type them up as you're talking to the candidate or handwriting them. You can paste those notes into the notes section and save it, and it will be public. We do want to make sure the notes here remain public so that the rest of the hiring team can see it. Now we'll see here that the kind of timeline was moved from applied to CI sent. If we refresh this page, it will also show that the phone screen invite stage was updated. So you can see here, and this is the case where if I'm the branch lead or if I'm the person who's conducting that phone interview and I want the hiring manager to review that profile, I can update the stage to the hiring manager review. And if there's anything in particular that I want them to know about, please review I can go ahead and copy the hiring manager or call out something specific about the call. Now, at any point, if we've decided that this is not the candidate we're going to move forward with, we can always move them to the disqualified stage, either using this button or the drag and drop from here into the disqualified stage. But for the sake of this example, we're going to pretend that the hiring manager looked at my profile, decided they'd like to move forward, and so we are going to move this candidate into from hiring manager review, which remember will send a notification to everyone on the hiring team to review the profile, to the hiring manager interview stage. Now, because we have this set up with an automated link, this will give me a chance to schedule my interview again via Calendly. And for the sake of this role, let's just say I'm going to be interviewing for customer service representative. And this will take me to our customer service, our call center manager's Calendly, Rebecca. And so she is not conducting any interviews on Monday, but Tuesday I can find a time that works for me. Again, completing this, I'm not going to take up any time on her calendar next week, as I'm sure she has actual interviews to conduct, but this is where that would be completed. Now, we've been treating this as if it's entirely a drag and drop based tool. However, generally speaking, we want to get the candidate on the phone. The better the candidate, the higher level or the more difficult the position is to fill, the more we need to get the candidate on the phone. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is candidates who have had a voice-to-voice conversation with us are far more likely to actually follow through and book the interview and then to show up to said interview. You can think of it like building momentum. If we just move somebody from stage to stage and we've never talked with them, it can raise some red flags for candidates because it might seem a little scammy. Further, if they know that we're serious about them and they get a phone call and then if we leave a voicemail or a follow-up text message, they know that we're interested and it helps get them over whatever hurdle we're putting in front of them, whether that's a culture index, a phone screen, or an interview. Now, for this pipeline, we do have 2 interviews. So let's say we go through the hiring manager interview, everything goes well. The hiring manager can pop some notes in here that will be available for everyone on the hiring team to review, and then we move them along into the final round interview. Now, these stages, this hiring manager interview has an automated stage action. So as soon as we move a candidate in there, it will send them the email. On the final interview, because most of those are either with somebody who doesn't normally conduct interviews or potentially a panel, there are no stage actions. So this is always going to result in a call to the candidate to figure out when they're available and scheduling an interview manually using Outlook. It's a fairly straightforward process, but again, this is where we would put notes available anytime next week after 2 p.m. And this is where we can keep track of that. So once I talk to the hiring manager, in this case, let's say it's Adam, Denver's general manager, Adam is available Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, but I'm not able to connect with him until Monday because he's out of office. So this way I could look back at my notes and know that, okay, I can send an email invite anytime to this candidate after 2 p.m. next week. The best way to remember to actually follow up and send that invite would be to set ourselves a task. Now, I would set that for Monday when I know Adam is back in the office. I would task that out. And then on Monday, when I go to review my tasks at the beginning of the day, I'll know that this is something that I can knock out pretty easily once I know Adam's or the other hiring manager's availability. Last but not least, let's say that final interview goes well and we offer the role. What's critically important for offering a role is that we don't immediately just send an offer letter, send the background check, and all of the other things that come along with that onboarding process. Call the candidate, connect with them voice to voice, and offer the role. If they get an offer letter and they have no context for it, or if there are questions that they have before they're prepared to accept the position, we want to give them the chance to ask those questions. Again, they're far, far more likely to show up and to sign the offer letter, complete all the onboarding, if we've talked to them, congratulated them on being successful in a really competitive candidate pool, and welcome them to the team, right? We want to get them excited to join. And the best way to get them excited is to be excited that they're going to be joining our team. So give them a call, confirm the details of the offer, walk them through what is going to be sent to them, which in most cases is going to be at minimum an offer letter, a background check, and a pre-employment questionnaire. In this case, we'll assume this is an office role and send that questionnaire. If it is a technician or apprentice applicant, we're also going to send them a motor vehicle record link that has a Samba safety enrollment link in there. Again, we want to voice this over to the candidate. None of these 3 to 4 emails should take more than 5 minutes apiece, but it's really important that we do it quickly and we make sure that the information that goes into those forms is accurate. So we have, please be sure to enter the information exactly as appears on your license, or that won't run. And then we wait. Hopefully that candidate gets this completed quickly. It will show this as being complete. It'll have a little green icon next to it. Same thing with the offers. We'll send an offer, and then when that offer has been signed, there'll be a little green icon next to the offer. Same thing with the background check. It will show that it has been sent, pending. Green is a clear, a red would be a consider that we need to go in to checker, our background check tool, and explore further. Now, if, for example, we decided, you know what, this person just really isn't the right fit for us, before we've made the offer or at any stage, we can disqualify them. A great candidate who is not a fit for this position for one reason or another, but we would want to work with in the future for another position, or maybe we filled the role before they were able to go through the whole process. We want to put them in the inventory bucket. that just tells us the next time we have a position like this, that's where we're going to start, because these people have already expressed an interest and they were good. We didn't hire them, but not because of a fundamental flaw with their qualifications or their culture fit, but just because something didn't line up perfectly. If we don't want to work with them more broadly and they're underqualified or unqualified, we'll select kind of the standard disqualification. And then again, selecting the appropriate disqualification reason is really helpful for us in understanding where our candidates are falling out of process, so we can either tweak our process or chase candidates who are more in line with what we're looking for. So in this case, I've heard this guy's a bit of a difficult person to work with. So let's say during the hiring manager interview, the hiring manager didn't like the way that they would mesh with our culture. So we're going to select that as the reason that we are eliminating them and hit finish. Now, that will move this candidate into the disqualified section. We know that we're not considering them for this role anymore, but at least for this person, for that disqualification reason, they've already made it through not only taking the culture index and a phone screen, but an interview with the hiring manager in person here in our office. So the least that we can do is to close the loop with that candidate and make sure that they know, while we appreciate their time, they're out of consideration. This is a huge step that most companies miss, and it is a really bad look for a company to leave people hanging, waiting to hear back about their status. So when you eliminate somebody from process, you can either send that message immediately by hitting the send email button, or, as is the case sometimes when somebody applies or takes a culture index and just really isn't the right fit, but we don't necessarily want to reject them within an hour or two of that application, you can hit this little clock button and set a rejection email, or any email rather, to send at a particular date. I always select a couple days out, so it doesn't feel like a slap in the face to get rejected within 10 minutes of an application. And then you can check here to see that there is an email queued, and when it will send. It'll send it 3:14 at 9:09 a.m. So if we've eliminated this candidate, we can close out and continue to work the process. But that is the general gist of how a candidate will move from an application all the way through either an offer or a disqualification.